Okay, I think we are on. Hello, everyone. We are going to wait a couple of minutes while we have people joining in. So don't mind me. I'll just be speaking nonsense for a minute or so. Sorry, hopefully not completely nonsense. You who are already here, thank you for joining us. This is a new experiment for us for Fly By Night. This is our online venture. You're doing Taming of the Shrew by William Shakespeare in 3 parts. Today, we'll do Acts 1 and 2. There is an entire troupe of actors just waiting in the wings while I'm spouting nonsense out here. I also want to give a big thanks to Kay Klusman, who is our tech manager today. I guess the equivalent of a stage manager online. She's trying to keep everything coming along behind the scenes. And yeah, we'll be starting very soon. Hopefully you all got a list of discussion questions. I'll give you a review of those before we start. We'll have the play, discussion, and we'll do this all over again on September 10th and October 8th. Okay, I think hopefully people are joining in. Let me do my introduction as people join in. Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Sunil Malapati, director of an adaptation of William Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew, performed by an all-female cast. This is our first part in the series. We will be doing Acts 1 and 2 today. Here is our cast. A couple of the actresses will be playing multiple roles. There are 8 actresses. You will meet them shortly as they perform the play. One is playing Baptista, the father of the 2 girls who everyone looks for, Katerina and Bianca. Katerina is played by Stephanie and Bianca by Eva. The suitors for Katerina is Patricia, played by Linda Mackey. The suitors for Bianca, the supposedly nice one, are Gremio, played by Teddy Cart, Tencio, played by Megan Glass, and Lucentio, played by Wendy Wilward. And Lucentio's servants are Tranio and Biondello. Tranio is played by Michelle McKinley. So today's performance, essentially, very shortly, we will start the play reading, Acts 1 and 2. After which, we'll take a 1-minute break and have a discussion with the actors. If you have questions, comments, thoughts, please feel free to post them in our chat feature or use the question and answer feature in Zoom. As the play is going along and you have thoughts, feel free to add them. Kay has been wonderful enough to collect all of them and will give them to me. I will moderate the discussion, but it will mostly be by the actors. I will explain a little bit about the discussion questions in a bit. I also want to point you to our future productions. Acts 3 and 4, the continuation of the story would happen on September 10th, same time, 6 p.m. Central. On October 8th, we'll finish with the Act 5 and do the framing device, so-called induction, and then talk about why that induction may be necessary for this particular play. Our aim is to record these productions and post them on our website and on social media. So if you missed today's, hopefully you will still be able to catch it and be ready for the next one. Now, a brief introduction about the play. Taming of the Shrew. Of his better-known plays, early plays, the word shrew during Shakespeare's time had a very specific meaning, a more general meaning that would be a thing of evil nature or influence belonging to the devil or the devil himself. Today, the word has more circumspect meaning. It means an ill-tempered, scolding woman. This is from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. So why has this meaning changed significantly in the past few centuries? And how much does the title of this play have to do with it? One thing you may want to look at is the words used to describe the titular shrew, Katerina, especially in the opening scenes. How is she described by others and even her own father? So, and we will talk about this at the end. Other question which we would like you to look at is how Shakespeare opens both the scenes in the opening act, a master and a servant talking to each other. And there's a constant reference to social positions, high positions, low positions, and how this, how this informs the play. And how do these master-servant relations of the ladies? We'll see that in these opening acts and forward. So that's it. That's all my introduction. So hopefully you are ready to watch the play. So let me stop sharing. And I think our actresses are ready. I will disappear shortly. Okay, without much further ado, Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew. Act 1, Scene 1, a street in Padua.
Tranio, since for the great desire I had to see fair Padua, nursery of arts, I am arrived for fruitful Lombardy, the pleasant garden of great Italy, and by my father's love and leave am armed with his good will and thy good company. My trusty servant, well approved in all, here let us breathe and haply institute a course of learning and ingenious study. Tell me thy mind, for I have Pisa left, and am to Padua come, as he that leaves a shallow plash to plunge into the deep, and with satiety seeks to quench his thirst.
Mi perdonato, gentle master mine, I am in all affected as yourself. Glad that you thus continue your resolve to suck the sweets of sweet philosophy. Only, good master, while we do admire this virtue and this moral discipline, let's be no stoics nor no stocks. I pray, practice rhetoric in your common talk. Music and poesy used to quicken you. The mathematics and the metaphysics fall to them as you find your stomach serves you. No profit grows where is no pleasure taken. In brief, sir, study what you most affect.
Grammar cease, Tranio. Well dost thou advise. But stay a while. What company is this?
Master, some show to welcome us to town.
Gentlemen, importune me no farther, for how I firmly am resolved, you know, that is, not bestow my youngest daughter before I have a husband for the elder. If either of you both love Katrina, because I know you well and love you well, leave shall you have to court her at your pleasure.
To court her, rather. She's too rough for me. There, Hortensio, will you any wife?
I pray you, sir, is it your will to make stale of me amongst these mates?
Mates, maid? How mean you that? No mates for you, unless you were of gentler, milder mould.
I faith in, sir, you shall never need to fear. I was not halfway to her heart, but if it were, doubt not her care should be to comb your noodle with a three-legged stool and paint your face and use you like a stool.
Oh, from all such devils, good Lord, deliver us.
And me too, good Lord.
Hush, master. Here's some good pastime toward. That wench is stark mad, or wonderful froward.
But in the other silence do I see maid's mild behavior and sobriety. Oh, peace, Tranio. Shh.
Gentlemen, that I may soon make good what I have said. Bianca, good Bianca, get you in, and let it not displease thee, good Bianca, for I will love thee nevertheless, my girl.
A pretty Pete. It is best to put a finger in her eye, and she knew why.
Sister, content you in my discontent. Sir, to your pleasure humbly I subscribe. My books and instruments shall be my company, on them to look and practice by myself.
Tranio, thou mayst hear Minerva speak.
Signor Baptista, will you be so strange? Sorry am I that our goodwill affects Bianca's grief.
Why will you mew her up, Signor Baptista, for this fiend of hell, and make her bear the penance of her tongue?
Gentlemen, content ye, I am resolved. And for I know she taketh most delight in music, instruments, and poetry, schoolmasters will I keep within my house, fit to instruct her youth. If you, Hortensio, or Signor Gremio, you know any such, prefer them hither, for to cunning men I will be very kind, and liberal to mine own children in good bringing up. And so, farewell. Come, children.
You may go to the devil's dam. Your gifts are so good. Here's none will hold you. Farewell, Hortensio. Yet for the love I bear my sweet Bianca, if I can by any means light on a fit man to teach her that wherein she delights, I wish him to her.
So will I, Signor Gremio, but a word I pray. Though the nature of our quarrel yet never brooked parle, it touches us both, that we may yet again have access to our fair mistress and be happy rivals in Bianca's love, to labor and effect one thing specially.
Oh, what's that, I pray?
Marry, sir, to get a husband for her sister.
Oh, a husband, a devil.
I say a husband.
I say a devil. Thinkest thou, Hortensio, though her father be very rich, any man is so very a fool to be married to hell.
Oh, tush, Gremio. Though it pass your patience and mine to endure her loud alarums, why, man, there be good fellows in the world, and a man could light on them, would take her with all faults and money enough.
I cannot tell, but I would as willingly take her dowry as to be whipped at the high cross every morning.
Faith, as you say, there's small choice in rotten apples. But come, since this bar-in-law makes us friends, it shall be so far forth friendly maintained all by helping Baptista's eldest daughter to a husband. He set his youngest free for a husband, and then to have a fresh, how say you, Signor Gremio?
Oh, I am agreed. And would I had given him the best horse in Padua to begin his wooing that would thoroughly woo her, wed her, and bed her, and rid the house of her. Come on.
I pray, sir, tell me, is it possible that love should of a sudden take such hold?
Oh, Tranio, till I found it to be true, I never thought it possible nor likely. But see, while idly I stood looking on, I found the effect of love in idleness. Oh, Tranio, I burn, I pine, I perish, Tranio. Counsel me, Tranio, for I know thou canst. Assist me, Tranio, for I know thou wilt.
Master, you look so longly on the maid, perhaps you marked not what's the pith of all.
Oh, yes, I saw sweet beauty in her face.
Saw you no more? Marked you not how her sister began to scold and raise up such a storm that mortal ears might hardly endure the din?
Tranio, I saw her coral lips to move, and with her breath she did perfume the air. Sacred and sweet was all I saw in her.
Pray, awake, sir. If you love the maid, bend thoughts and wits to achieve her. Thus it stands. Her eldest sister is so cursed and shrewd that till the father rid his hands of her, master, Your love must live a maid at home.
Oh, Tranio, what a cruel father's he!
Now 'tis plotted. You will be schoolmaster and undertake the teaching of the maid. That's your device.
It is. May it be done?
Not possible. For who shall bear your part and be in Padua here, Vincenzio's son, keep house and ply his book, welcome his friends, visit his countrymen and banquet them?
Basta. Content thee, for I have it full. We have not yet been seen in any house, nor can we lie distinguished by our faces for man or master. Then it follows thus. Thou shalt be master, Tranio, in my stead. Keep house and port and servants as I should, and I will some other be, some Florentine, some Neapolitan, or meaner man of Pisa.
I am tied to be obedient. For so your father charged me at our parting. Be serviceable to my son, quoth he, although I think 'twas in another sense. I am content to be Lucentio, because so well I love Lucentio.
Oh, Tranio, be so, because Lucentio loves. And let me be a slave to achieve that maid, whose sudden sight hath thralled my wounded eye. Here comes the rogue. Sirrah, where have you been?
Now, where have I been? Now, how now? Where are you? Master, has my fellow Tranio stolen your clothes, or you stolen his, or both? Pray, what's the news?
Sirrah, come hither. 'Tis no time to jest. Your fellow Tranio here, to save my life, puts my apparel and my countenance on, and I, for my escape, have put on his. For in a quarrel, since I came ashore, I killed a man, and fear I was descried. Wait you on him, I charge you, as becomes, while I make way from hence to save my life. You understand me?
Aye, sir. Narrow wit.
And not a jot of Tranio in your mouth. Tranio is changed into Lucentio.
The better for him. Would I were so too.
Act 1, Scene 2, a duel before Hortensio's house.
My best beloved and approved friend Hortensio, and I trow this is his house. Here, Sirrah Grumio, knock, I say.
Knock, sir? Whom should I knock? Is there a man who has rebuked your worship?
Villain, I say, knock me here soundly.
Knock you here, sir? Why, sir, what am I, sir, that I should knock you here, sir?
Villain, I say, knock me at this gate, and rat me well, or I'll knock your knave's pate.
My master has grown quarrelsome. I should knock you first, and then I know who comes by the worst.
Will it not be? Faith, Sirrah, and you'll not knock it. I'll ring it. I'll try so how you can so fall and sing it.
Help, masters! Help, my master is mad!
Now, knock when I bid you, Sirrah villain.
How now? What's the matter? My old friend Grumio and my good friend Petruchio. How do you all at Verona?
Signor Hortensio, come you to part the fray?
Alla nostra casa benvenuto, molto honorato, signor mio Petruchio. Rise, Grumio, rise. We will compound this quarrel.
If this be not a lawful case for me to leave his service, look you, sir, he bid me to knock him, rap him soundly, sir. Well, was it fit for a servant to use his master so? Whom would to God I well knock it first, then had not Grumio come by the worst.
A senseless villain, good Hortensio, I bade the rascal knock upon your gate, and could not get him for my heart to do it.
Knock at the gate! Oh, heavens! I spake you not these words plain, sirrah. Knock me here, rap me there, knock me well, and knock me soundly. And come you now with knocking at the gate.
Sirrah, be gone, or talk not, I advise you.
Petruchio, patience. I am Grumio's pledge. And tell me now, sweet friend, what happy gale blows you to Padua here from old Verona?
Such wind as scatters young men through the world, to seek their fortunes farther than at home, where small experience grows. Antonio, my father, is deceased, and I have thrust myself into this maze, happily to wive and thrive as best I may. Crowns in my purse I have, and goods at home, and so am come abroad to see the world.
Oh, Petruchio, shall I then come roundly to thee, and wish thee to a shrewd, ill-favored wife? And yet I'll promise thee she shall be rich, and very rich. But thou'rt too much, my friend, and I'll not wish her to thee.
Signor Hortensio, twixt such friends as we few words suffice, and therefore, if thou know one rich enough to be Petruchio's wife, as wealth is burden of my wooing dance, I come to wive it wealthily in Padua. If wealthily, then happily in Padua.
Nay, look you, sir, he tells you flatly what his mind is. Why, give him gold enough and marry him to an old trot with ne'er a tooth in her head, though she have as many diseases as 52 horses. Why, nothing comes amiss, so money comes withal.
Petruchio, since we are steeped thus far in, I will continue that I broached in jest. I can, Petruchio, help thee to a wife, with wealth enough and young and beauteous, brought up as best becomes a gentlewoman. Her only fault, and that is false enough, is that she is an intolerable cursed, and shrewd, and froward, so beyond all measure, that were my state far worser than it is, I would not wed her for a mine of gold.
Hortensio, peace, thou knowest not gold's effect. Tell me her father's name, and 'tis enough. For I will board her, though she chide as loud as thunder when the clouds in autumn crack.
Her father is Baptista Minola, an affable and courteous gentleman. Her name is Caterina Minola, renowned in Padua for her scolding tongue.
I know her father, though I know not her, and he knew my deceased father well. I will not sleep, Hortensio, till I see her.
I pray you, sir, let him go while the humor lasts. Oh, my word, and she knew him as well as I do. She would think that scolding would do little good upon him. She may perhaps call him half a score knaves or so. I'll tell you what, sir, and she stand him but a little, he will throw a figure in her face, so disfigure her with it, that she shall have no more eyes to see with than a cat. You know him not, sir.
Tarry, Petruchio, I must go with thee, for in Baptista's keep my treasure is. He hath the jewel of my life in hold, his youngest daughter, beautiful Bianca, and her withholds from me, and the other more. This order hath Baptista's taken, that none shall have access unto Bianca till Caterina the cursed have got a husband.
Caterina the cursed, a title for a maid, of all titles the worst.
Oh, now shall my friend Petruchio do me grace, and offer me disguised in sober robes to old Baptista as a schoolmaster, well seen in music to instruct Bianca, that so I may, by this device at least, have leave and leisure to make love to her, and unsuspected court her by herself.
Here's no knavery. See to beguile the old folks, how the young folks lay their heads together. Master, master, look about you. Who goes there, huh?
Peace, Grumio. It is the rival of my love. Petruchio, stand by a while.
Mark you, sir. I have them very fairly bound, all books of love. See that at any hand, and see you read no other lectures to her. You understand me? What will you read to her?
Whate'er I read to her, I'll plead for you. Yea, and perhaps with more successful words than you, unless you were a scholar, sir.
Oh, this woodcock, what an ass it is.
Peace, Sirrah.
God save you, Signor Gremio.
And you are well met, Signor Hortensio. Know you whither I am going? To Baptista Minola. I promise to inquire carefully about a schoolmaster for the fair Bianca, and by good fortune I have lighted well on this young man, for learning and behavior fit for her turn, well read in poetry and other books, good ones, I warrant ye.
Oh, 'tis well, and I have met a gentleman hath promised me to help me to another, a fine musician to instruct our mistress. So shall I know which be behind in duty to fair Bianca, so beloved of me.
Beloved of me, and that my deeds shall prove.
And that his bags shall prove.
Oh, Gremio, 'tis not the time now to vent our love. Here is a gentleman whom by chance I met upon agreement from us to his liking, will undertake to woo cursed Caterina, ye, and to marry her, and her dowry, please.
Oh, so said, so done is well. Hortensio, have you told him all her faults?
I know she is an irksome, brawling scold. If that be all, masters, I hear no harm. My father's dead, my fortune lives for me, and I do hope good days and long to see.
Oh, sir, such a life, with such a wife were strange, but will you woo this wildcat?
Will I live?
Will you woo her? Aye, or I'll hang her.
Why came I hither but to that intent? Think you a little dawn can daunt mine ears? Have I not in my time heard lions roar? Have I not heard the sea puffed up with winds, rage like an angry boar chafed with sweat? Have I not heard great ordnance in the field and heaven's artillery thunder in the skies? Have I not in a pitched battle heard loud larums neighing steeds and trumpets clang? And do you tell me of a woman's tongue that gives not half so great a blow to hear as will a chestnut in a farmer's fire? Tush, tush, fear boys with bugs.
I promised we would be contributors, and bear his charging of wooing whatsoever.
And so we will, provided that he win her.
I would I were as sure of a good dinner.
Gentlemen, God save you. If I may be bold, tell me, I beseech you, which is the readiest way to the house of Signor Baptista Minola?
He that has the two fair daughters, is he, you mean?
Even he, Biendello.
Are you a suitor to the maid you talk of, yea or no?
And if I be, sir, is it any offense?
No, if without more words you will get you hence.
Why, sir, I pray, are not the streets as free for me as for you?
But so is not she.
For what reason, I beseech you?
Or for this reason, if you'll know that she's the choice love of Signor Gremio.
That she's the chosen of Signor Hortensio. Sir, let me be so bold as to ask you, did you ever see Baptista's daughter?
No, sir. But here I do that he hath two, the one as famous for a scolding tongue as is the other for beauteous modesty.
Sir, the first for me, let her go by. The youngest daughter whom you hearken for, her father keeps from all access of suitors, and will not promise her to any man until the elder sister first be wed. The younger then is free, and not before.
And since you do profess to be a suitor, you must, as we do, gratify this gentleman, to whom we all rest generally beholden.
Sir, I shall not be slack in sign whereof. Please ye, we may contrive this afternoon, and quaff carouses to our mistress's health, and do as adversaries do in law, strive mightily, but but eat and drink as friends.
Oh, excellent motion.
Fellows, let's be gone.
Act 2. Padua, room in Baptista's house.
Good sister, wrong me not, nor wrong yourself. To make a bondmaid and a slave of me, that I disdain. But for these other goods, unbind my hands. I'll pull them off myself, yea, all my raiment to my petticoat, or what you will command me will I do. So well I know my duty to my elders.
Of all thy suitors, here I charge thee. Tell me whom thou lovest best. See thou dissemble not.
Believe me, sister, of all the men alive, I never yet beheld that special face which I could fancy more than any other.
Minion, thou least. It's not Hortensio.
If you affect him, sister, here I swear I'll plead for you myself, but you shall have him.
Oh, then belike you. Fancy riches more. You will have Gremio as your fare to keep you fair.
Is it for him you do envy me so? Nay, then you jest. And I well perceive you have jested with me this while. I prithee, sister Kate, untie my hands.
If that be jest, then all the rest was so.
Why, how now, dame? Whence grows this insolence? Bianca, stand aside. Poor girl, she weeps. Go, ply thy needle, meddle not with her. For shame, thou hilding of a devilish spirit. Why dost thou wrong her that she did ne'er wrong thee? When did she cross thee with a bitter word?
Her silence flouts me, and I'll be revenged.
What, in my sight? Bianca, get thee in.
What, will you not suffer me? Nay, now I see she is your treasure. She must have a husband. I must dance barefoot on her wedding day. Talk not to me. I will go sit and weep till I can find occasion of revenge.
Was ever gentleman thus grieved as I? But who comes here?
Good morrow, baby. Good morrow, neighbor Baptista.
Good morrow, neighbor Gremio. God save you, gentlemen.
And you, good sir, have you not a daughter called Katerina, fair and virtuous?
I have a daughter, sir, called Katerina.
I am a gentleman of Verona, sir, that hearing of her beauty and her wit, her affability and bashful modesty, her wondrous qualities and mild behavior, am bold to show myself a forward guest within your house to make mine eye the witness of that report which I so oft have heard. I do present you with a man of mine, cunning in music and the mathematics, to instruct her fully in those sciences whereof I know she is not ignorant. Accept of him, or else you do me wrong. His name is Licio, born in Mantua.
You're welcome, sir, and he for your good sake. But for my daughter Katerina, this I know. She is not for your turn, the more my grief.
I see you do not mean to part with her, or else you like not of my company.
Oh, mistake me not. I speak but as I find. Whence are you, sir? What may I call your name?
Petruchio is my name, Antonio's son, a man well known throughout all Italy.
Oh, I know him well. You are welcome for his sake.
Saving your tale, Petruchio, I pray. Let our poor petitioner speak too. Neighbor, this is a gift, very grateful, I am sure of it, to express like the kindness myself that have been more than kindly beholding to you than any freely given unto you, this young scholar. Well, that have been long studying in Reims, as cunning in Greek, Latin, and other languages as the other in music and mathematics. His name is Cambio. Pray, accept his service.
1,000 thanks, Signor Gremio. Welcome, Cambio. But, gentle sir, methinks you walk like a stranger. May I be so bold to know the cause of your coming?
Pardon me, sir. The boldness is mine own, that being a stranger in the city here, do make myself a suitor to your daughter, unto Bianca, fair and virtuous. This liberty is all that I request, that upon knowledge of my parentage, I may have welcome amongst the rest that woo, and free access and favor as the rest. And toward the education of your daughters, I here bestow a simple instrument, well, and this small packet of Greek and Latin books. If you accept them, then their worth is great.
Ah, Lucentio is your name. Huh. Of whence, I pray?
Of Pisa, sir, son to Vincencio.
Ah, mighty man of Pisa. By report, I know him well. You are very welcome, sir. Take the lute, and you the set of books. You shall go see your pupils presently.
Signor Baptista, my business asketh haste, and every day I cannot come to woo. You knew my father well, and in him me, left solely heir to all his lands and goods, which I have bettered rather than decreased. Then tell me, if I get your daughter's love, what dowry shall I have with her to wife?
After my death, the 1/2 of my lands, and in possession 20,000 crowns.
And for that dowry, I'll assure her of her widowhood, be it that she survive me, and all my lands and leases whatsoever. Let specialties be therefore drawn between us, that covenants may be kept on either hand.
Aye, when the special thing is well obtained, that is, her love, for that is all in all.
Why, that is nothing, for I tell you, Father, I am as peremptory as she proud-minded, and where two raging fires meet together, they do consume the thing that feeds their fury. Though little fire grows great with little wind, yet extreme gusts will blow out fire and all. So I to her, and she yields to me, for I am rough and woo not like a babe.
Well mayst thou woo, and happy be thy speed, but be thou armed for some unhappy words. Oh, how now, my friend? Why dost thou look so pale?
Oh, for fear, I promise you, if I look pale.
What, will my daughter prove a good musician?
I think she'll sooner prove a soldier. Iron may hold with her, but never lutes.
Why, then thou canst not break her to the lute?
Why no, for she hath broke the lute to me. I did but tell her she mistook her frets, and bowed her hand to teach her fingering, when with a most impatient devilish spirit, frets call you these, quoth she, I'll fume with them. And with a word she struck me on the head. There I stood amazed for a while she did call me a rascal fiddler, and twangling Jack with 20 such vile terms, as she had studied to misuse so.
Now, by the world, it is a lusty wench. I love her 10 times more than e'er I did. Oh, how I long to have some chat with her.
Well, Hortensio, go with me, and be not so discomfited. proceed in practice with my younger daughter. She's apt to learn and thankful for good turns. Signor Petruchio, will you go with us, or shall I send my daughter Kate to you?
Oh, I pray you do. I will attend her here and woo her with some spirit when she comes. Say that she rail, why then I'll tell her plain she sings as sweetly as a nightingale. Say that she frown, I'll say she looks as clear as morning roses newly washed with dew. Say she be mute and will not speak a word, then I'll commend her volubility, and say she uttereth piercing eloquence. She do bid me pack, I'll give her thanks as though she bid me stay by her a week. If she denied to wed, I'll crave the day when I shall ask the banns and when be married. But here she comes, and now, Petruchio, speak. Good morrow, Kate, for that's your name, I hear.
Well, have you heard, but something hard of hearing. They call me Katerina, that do talk of me.
You lie in faith, for you are called plain Kate, and bonny Kate, and sometimes Kate the cursed, but Kate, the prettiest Kate in Christendom, Kate of Kate Hall, my super dainty Kate, for dainties are all Kate, and therefore Kate. Take this of me, Kate of my consolation, hearing thy mildness praised in every town, thy virtue spoke of and thy beauty sounded, yet not so deeply as to thee belongs, myself am moved to woo thee for my wife.
Moved! In good time, let him that moved you hither remove you hence. I knew you at the first, you were unmovable.
Why, what's immovable?
A joint stool.
Thou hast hit it. Come, sit on me.
Asses are made to bear, and so are you.
Women are made to bear, and so are you.
No such jade as you with me, you mean?
Alas, good Kate, I will not burden thee, for knowing thee to be but young and light.
Too light for such a swain as you to catch, and yet as heavy as my weight should be.
Should buzz.
Well, tan and like a buzzard.
Oh, slow winged turtle, shall a buzzard take thee?
Aye, for a turtle as he takes a buzzard.
Come, you wasp. If faith you are too angry.
If I be waspish, best beware my sting.
Well, my remedy is then to pluck it out.
Aye, if the fool could find where it lies.
Who knows not where a wasp does wear his sting? In his tail.
In his tongue.
Whose tongue?
Yours, if you talk of tails, and so farewell.
What, with my tongue in your tail? Nay, come again. Good Kate, I am a gentleman.
I'll try that.
I swear I'll cuff you if you strike again.
So may you lose your arms. If you strike me, you are no gentleman, and if no gentleman, why, then no arms.
A herald, Kate. Oh, put me in thy books.
What is your crest? A coxcomb?
A combless cock, so Kate will be my hen.
No cock of mine, you crow too like a craven.
Nay, come, Kate, come. You must not look so sour.
It is my fashion when I see a crab.
Why, here's no crab, and therefore look not sour.
There is.
Then show it me.
Had I a glass, I would.
What, you mean my face?
Well aimed of such a young one.
Oh, now, by St. George, I am too young for you.
Yet you are withered.
'Tis with cares.
I care not.
Nay, hear you, Kate. In sooth, you scape not so.
I chafe you. If I tarry, let me go.
No, not a whit. I find you passing gentle. 'Twas told me you were rough and coy and sullen, and now I find report a very liar. For thou art pleasant, gamesome, passing courteous, but slow in speech, yet sweet as springtime flowers. Thou canst not frown, thou canst not look askance, nor bite the lip as angry wenches will, nor hast thou pleasure to be cross in talk. But thou with mildness entertainest thy wooers, with gentle conference soft and affable. Oh, why does the world report that Kate doth limp? O slanderous world! Kate, like the hazel twig, is straight and slender, and as brown in hue as hazelnuts, and sweeter than the kernels. Oh, let me see thee walk. Thou dost not halt.
Where did you study all this goodly speech?
It is extempore from my mother's wit.
A witty mother, witless else her son.
Am I not wise?
Yes, keep you warm.
Marry, so I mean, sweet Katerina, in thy bed. And therefore, setting all this chat aside, thus in plain terms, your father hath consented that you shall be my wife, your dowry agreed on. And will you, nill you, I will marry you. Now, Kate, I am a husband for your term, for by this light, whereby I see thy beauty that doth make me like thee well. Thou must be married to no man but me, for he am born to tame you, Kate, and bring you from a wild Kate to a Kate comfortable as other household Kates. Here comes your father. Never make denial. I must and will have Katerina to my wife.
Now, Signor Petruchio, how speed you with my daughter?
How but well, sir, how but well. If it were impossible, I should speed amiss.
Why, how now, daughter Katerina? In your dumps?
Call you me daughter. Now I promised you, you have showed a tenderly father regard to wish me wed to one half lunatic, a madcap ruffian, and a swearing jack that thinks with oaths to face the matter out.
Father, 'tis thus yourself and all the world that talked of her, have talked amiss of her. If she be cursed, it is for policy, for she's not froward, but modest as the dove. She is not hot, but temperate as the morn. And to conclude, we have agreed so well together that upon Sunday is the wedding day.
I'll see thee hanged on Sunday first.
Oh, hark, Petruchio! She says she'll see thee hanged first.
Is this your speeding? Nay then, good night for our part.
Be patient, gentlemen. I choose her for myself. If she and I be pleased, what's that to you? 'Tis bargain twixt us twain being alone, that she shall still be cursed in company. I tell you, 'tis incredible to believe how much she loves me. Oh, the kindest Kate. She hung around my neck, and kiss on kiss she vied so fast, protesting oath on oath, that in a twink she won me to her love. Oh, give me thy hand, Kate. I will unto Venice to buy apparel 'gainst the wedding day. Provide the feast, father, and bid the guest. I will be sure my Katerina shall be fine.
Oh, I know not what to say, but give me your hands. God send you joy, Petruchio. 'Tis a match.
Amen, say we.
We will be witnesses.
Father and wife and gentlemen, adieu. I will to Venice. Sunday comes apace. We will have rings and things in fine array. And kiss me, Kate. We will be married o Sunday.
Was ever match clapped up so suddenly?
Faith, gentlemen, now I play a merchant's part and venture madly on the desperate mart.
Oh, but now, Baptista, to your younger daughter. Now is the day we have longed for. We've longed for. I am your neighbor, and was suitor first.
And I am one that love Bianca more than words can witness, or your thoughts can guess.
Oh, youngling, thou canst not love so dear as I.
Graybeard, thy love doth freeze.
But thine doth fry. Skipper, stand back. 'Tis age that nourisheth.
But youth in ladies' eyes that flourisheth.
Content you, gentlemen. I will compound this strife. 'Tis deeds win the prize. And he of both that can assure my daughter greatest dower shall have my Bianca's love. Say, Signor Gremio, what can you assure her?
Well, first, as you know, my house within the city is richly furnished with plate and gold, pewter and brass, and all things that belong to house or housekeeping. Then, at my farm, I have 100 milk cows to the pail, 60 fat oxen standing in my stalls, myself and struck in years, I must confess. And if I die tomorrow, this is hers. If whilst I live, she will be only mine.
That only came well in. Sir, listen to me. I am my father's heir and only son. If I may have your daughter to my wife, I'll leave her houses 3 or 4 as good, within rich Pisa walls as any one old Signor Gremio has in Padua. Besides, 2,000 ducats by the year of fruitful land, all which shall be her jointure. What, have I pinched you, Signor Gremio?
2,000 ducats by the year of land that she shall have besides an argosy. Now, that is lying in Marseille Road. What, have I choked you with an argosy?
Gremio, 'tis known my father hath no less than 3 great argosies. Whatever thou offers next.
Oh, nay, I've offered all. I have no more.
Why then the maid is mine from all the world by your firm promise. Gremio is outvied.
I must confess your offer is the best, and let your father make her the assurance. Well, gentlemen, I am thus resolved. On Sunday next, you know, my daughter Katerina is to be married. Now on the Sunday following shall Bianca be bride to you, if you this assurance, if not, Signor Gremio. And so I take my leave, and I thank you both.
This concludes Act 2 of The Taming of the Shrew. We'll give our actors a minute or so as they change out of costume and join us back in. Actors, whenever you're able to, please join us back.
Oh, I'm still Baptista. I don't know.
I'm changing it, Lenore, don't worry.
I being the most
We get
ignorant
your
technical
actual
person.
names this time. Okay. And Michelle, let me change your name.
Oh, okay, I was just going to do it, but thank you.
Okay, I think we're all here. Okay, thank you all. It looks like we have quite a few people joining us today. And I will wait a minute or so. So if you have any questions, comments to our actors, please feel free to post on our chat. And I will read them to them or ask them on your behalf. So while we are waiting for questions from our viewers, how are you all doing?
We say thank you to our viewers for joining.
Yes.
We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
Yay.
It's a new experiment for us, right?
Oh, yes. I think you can.
So let's start with that first question. Since we heard Katrina referred to by quite a few names, probably probably are familiar to you guys. So anybody care to chime in on that?
Well, I get one of the best ones, at least in Act 1 and 2. And at the point that I think as Baptista, I'm rather frustrated with her at the point, but he calls her a hilding of a devilish spirit. And as I remember you saying, a mockery of a devilish spirit, but it feels good to say.
I think I refer to her as a devil also a couple times. And anybody who marries her is a devil from hell.
So how does that feel as in, like, I mean, are these terms which we still use to a certain extent to refer to very strong women?
I think so. I'll chime in. I think one of the ways I refer
Having
to
a
her
hard
is
time hearing.
having a vile tongue. And I think it's interesting because we still tend to think of women as being those who are outspoken or those who behave confidently as being negative. You know, if you hear somebody who's male stand up for himself or speak boldly, he's strong. If you hear a woman do the same thing, often it's seen as a negative thing, not as empowering. Certainly women feel that it's empowering, but in the greater sense, it's kind of received negatively. So.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that, you know, we're women playing these male characters who are saying a lot of negative things about women, but yet it seems very comfortable for us as actors because, you know, as women, we know that we generally tend to be really cruel to each other, maybe more so than men are. So wasn't a stretch for me to say anything.
So Michelle, picking up on that, is it easier saying certain things because you were a woman speaking to other women, or was it harder?
I follow with, I'm kind of in Michelle's boat. One of the tenets of acting that I give over to when I'm acting is not judging my character when I'm playing the character. So yeah, I can say anything as long as I understand what I'm saying or what the character's saying, what the text is saying. So yeah, I don't judge the character as I'm doing it. I may think about the character. I do think about the character, the text of the play, whatever, on my own time, or maybe when we're in rehearsal and having discussion in that vein, but not. The problem is when you start casting judgments on your character, your own moral or political positions. Right. Then it robs the character. It actually robs the audience too, but it robs the character of being the full character within the context and the point of view of the text. So.
Yeah, I agree, Lenore, because with Petruchio, I mean, for me, I just found it so easy to say all of these things to Katerina, that she's so wonderful and mild and all of that, because I feel that as his character, I mean, as who he is, he's going after what he wants, and he's going to do whatever he needs to do to get what he wants. And isn't that what we all do though? I mean, really, whatever we want, we have our way of getting whatever it is that we want. It doesn't matter if we're male or female. So I really found that easy. I found what I found hard was you telling me to be more pompous. So I was like, what is pompous? I mean, what is that? You know, I don't know. But as far as, you know, him telling all these things to her that are not true about her, I thought it made sense. Why not? He's going after what he wants. So, yeah.
You know what I wonder, you know, if you had done this experiment in the 1950s, Sunil, and how it would have fallen on us as women at that point. I think at this point, we're all, you know, sort of liberated, and screw you kind of a feeling. So it frees us up to, okay, I can play the misogynist man. It's a character. So what? I know where the real strength is coming from out here, you know. But that just occurred to me. I hadn't thought about that all week, but just occurred to me it would be different earlier than maybe right now. Especially, and I'm not bringing politics, but especially with so many women finally getting into authoritative positions now, that's interesting, I think, for me to think about.
I think it's interesting too that Shakespeare makes Katharina so sympathetic right from the start. You know, we see that she's the less loved sibling. We see that she's, you know, all these bad names that she's referred to. People are picking apart her personality, her looks, everything. But yet Shakespeare seems to make the audience feel sympathy for her, you know.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that I loved about Katharina is that, and it might be because of where we are today as a society, but as I was reading it and playing the character, I didn't feel like she was trying to liberate herself from that box that everyone has put her in. And she knows what she is. She knows she's not a tender, you know, sweetheart, mild and timid. And it's kind of, you know, the way that she's acting is her way of giving the finger to, you know, everyone. And I don't think, so I just loved it. I think playing her, I think now she's viewed as a strong woman, whereas maybe 50 years ago, she would have been considered, you know, the negative connotation of what a shrew is. So
I happen to think she's the most intelligent, intellectual, intuitive, self-aware character in the play. Mm-hmm. And that she's emotionally acts out. It's like kind of what you're saying, Stephanie, that it's a self-survival in a man-powered world that the play is taking place in. But she's a cunning man.
Lenore, do you think that's a modern reading? I mean, I'm hearing a lot of that this is a modern reading of Shakespeare, but yet it's William Shakespeare who creates that sympathetic character 500 years ago. You know, so here's this man creating this character who's in a box, as you said, and we're all rooting for her to get out. So I don't know if that goes to his timelessness or.
I think it does. For me, it's the timelessness and the fact that, you know, Shakespeare plays have been interpreted differently for a long time now. And maybe that's why they live on, because I think maybe taking Kate, as we were talking about her, as not as sympathetic, but as strong and a survivor and whatever, that it takes the play out of being just a farce, and it takes it into more satisfying commentary for us today, maybe. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen the other, and it's not satisfying as a woman. But I've also seen when she's been, when she kind of, you know, in her own connivances, and she comes to terms too, and it's in there, I think. As you say, Michelle, I think she is a sympathetic character, but she's not a weakling.
No, not at all.
You know.
I don't know that she's deliberately a sympathetic character. I think from our perspective now, that's how we view her. We have more sympathy, but I don't know that in Shakespeare's time they would have. I don't think that was necessarily his intent.
Well, it's dangerous to talk about an author's intent. So says the English professor.
True.
But again, the fact that he did create this character and gave her these words, and I don't know. I mean, I've always kind of thought Shakespeare was very sympathetic to women, but that's another conversation.
Oh, I'm loving this conversation. We do have an audience question from Chrissy. one of the questions she wants to know from you guys is, were there any performances you viewed of prior performances that inspired you, or how? Basically, she wants to know your process.
Or what?
Your process. Did you use inspiration from watching videos and things, or?
Well, for me, the first thing I did was look on SparkNotes so I knew what I was saying. So that was my first step in the process. And then I think just because it was different, this was a very different process because we weren't able to physically work off people. We couldn't really sense each other's emotions. It was a lot more challenging, I think, doing this way. So I think there was a give and take with the process here, a new learning curve of, trying to make that connection with someone else. Because that's where I think I find most of my process in character development is when I'm working through the scenes with my scene partners. And it was just different doing it that way here. And then finally, I think 2 days ago, I did look at a performance just so I had more context, but it was hard to really take much from a performance that we saw because there was a lot of movement, with Shakespeare, there's a lot of physical, like comedy that's involved, and we can't do that here. So it was different, it really made us rely on, I think, ourselves. That was my process. Yeah, facial expressions.
Yeah, I kind of did the same thing. So my son played Hamlet last year at UW-Platteville. And so he told me about No Fear Shakespeare. So that's a great website. So it just takes you literally one side of the page or the screen is the script, Shakespeare script, and then the right side is in everyday English. So once I understood where each character was coming from, it was fun reading everybody's lines because then I kind of knew where they were all coming from. Then I totally understood, and then I knew the intent behind each line, like what it is that you're trying to say or what they're trying to say. And so that helped a lot. And honestly, getting direction from you, Sunil, was great. I mean, hello, kissing up to the director, but it's true, I mean, it really is true. You really gave really good feedback because like she said, I mean, the video that you gave us a link to was really great, but at the same time, you can't do any of those things physically. Yeah. So to do it on your face, you don't want to overdo because on stage, everything's bigger, but on screen, on TV and so forth, it's small movements. And you kept saying that to us, which was really great feedback. So, yeah.
I mean, I do want to ask about that. This to me was a very discovery process too. Like how expressive your faces are. Because even in the BG room, however close you sit, you're not going to get all the expressions because, of where you're sitting, you only get some of the action. It really was a pleasure watching you guys. And like now that you're able to look at yourself on screen, how did that change how you performed? Like starting from the first rehearsal to today?
I started some of the lines in terms of I did a lot of my character work, at here at home without you and without all of you. And there were certain things coming out to me about Baptista that he started to come out to me in Act 1 and 2 as a complicated and in many ways a conflicted man. He's a rich gentleman who needs to protect his wealth and his legacy. And of course, Kate and Bianca are part of that deal. But I started to hear as we had rehearsals or as I went through it, that he's more than just that, that there's something there, that there seemed to be some care or even love of his daughters. And one of the lines was that when Petruchio is initially dickering with Baptista about, regarding the dowry and what he can bring to the marriage, and Baptista replies, I when the special thing is obtained. And then he qualifies the special thing as honestly earning Kate's love. And that made me ponder. So I like the dimensions. I was starting to feel the human dimensions. I And maybe, I guess, maybe as a woman, I was also interested in exploring his fatherhood beyond him just being a ruthless businessman. That was boring to me. But, and I think there's other places in there too. I mean, and I started wondering, you know, as a parent, I started wondering, God, how long, you know, he's an exhausted father probably too. I mean, you're dealing with Kate's rebellious acting out. I mean, how many fires has he had to put out? How many apologies? I mean, and not to say worrying about her actually maiming Bianca someday. Yeah, and I just started thinking about that, and which it's not there. It doesn't tell us in the show. There's no mother. We never get a mother in the picture to share the load. And so I also could understand that, you know, his seemingly favoring Bianca, you know, the more docile and compliant one and the one everybody wants. I can understand why he might favor her. But so I was looking at text a lot, or listening and listening to everybody in rehearsal and seeing how that was working out. The one thing about this format, though, is I feel like I'm mugging all the time. Which, you know,
Yes,
we don't really do.
I felt the same way.
Because it's all.
There's so much time when I'm in the background, but when we're all equal size, you know, I'm trying to react, but not draw away focus, but be in character. You know. Looking at myself and going, am I going too far? Am I overdoing it?
Once I figured out that I could minimize the screen and look at my script on the screen and not have to watch myself, it was much better, because I was really self-conscious of myself. I was like, oh, what's wrong with your hair? And, you know, the background, I was moving around. So it freed me up to minimize that and not just see who was on, who I was acting with. That was nice.
We do have a comment from Mike Gibson, who, on a technical note, he really liked the change of paths. Thank you guys for doing that really well.
Oh yeah, you guys get to
high five, Michelle.
Also, the exchange of books and the slaps worked really well.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
That was a good slap.
We can only do small things on Zoom, but you know, it's kind of fun to be able to do those things. And I thought you guys did a wonderful job with that.
Yeah.
So
thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
So one of the things Chrissy had is, I think you somewhat answered it, and maybe you can expand on this. Chrissy asked, like, how is it going from being big to being small? Because you really are pulling back your performance quite a bit.
One thing that I did do, Sunil, is that I was kind of like everybody else, where you're just not sure if you're over mugging too much or whatever. So I would pull up Zoom and just do myself, a full screen, you know, and I would say my lines right to the camera, and I could see myself, like, am I doing this too much? You know, what am I doing? Because you know me, I talk with my hands anyway. So that helped a lot. That really did help me a lot to see, like, oh, wait, I got to bring it down. So that was a challenge, but it was really helpful to do that. Then, like somebody said, I think it was Lenore that said, seeing everyone else's faces, then you could relate your character to them. So that was fun. I mean, I liked that we had our rehearsals, because then I could see everyone's face and exactly how they were doing their character, how they had developed their character, and that helped me a lot. That did. So I don't know. I thought it wasn't that difficult after the first rehearsal seemed really rough to me, but the second one got better, and the third was like, yeah, that was awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can't control when you're on Zoom. You know, like you can't control whether your cat starts meowing like mine did, or whether there's ambient noise outside, like the neighbors start, you know, weed whacking or whatever. Whereas when you're on stage, there's other things you can't control, but you've got your sacred space there, and it's, yeah. So
it was different not having space to explore, like use the space, explore your space, and really, use your voice and really hear. There were times where I wish like Katerina could shout, but I don't want to hurt your ears or anything, but it was just, I think it forced us to pull back, but it didn't feel really too much like a challenge, just because, I don't know, just work with the space that you have available to you, work within that space, but it was different.
I've started doing operas. A lot of the seasons aren't starting in the fall, they're starting later. So a lot of companies are going to a digital format instead. And yeah, the sound thing is a challenge for me, just because you don't have that, you're very conscientious of whether or not you're heard, of what your diction is like when you're speaking into a microphone, of knowing that there's some limitations. And I'm very sensitive to that. So that was a big challenge for me, just not being able to use my voice the way I normally would. But I'm learning, and I still think this is better than nothing.
Yeah.
So, I would rather learn this way with a little box. And, limitations, I guess limitations breed creativity. And I feel like this is kind of that. So.
I wonder what it's going to be like when we're able to actually be back in a performance space for each of us. Like, we're just going to eat it up and use the space.
Yeah, I think we're going to go there. Hi. Oh,
yeah.
End scene.
Jill, it's going to be interesting when you and I have to change costumes, though. That's
We can't just hand it down and hope somebody catches it.
Yeah.
There's
a slight size disparity. Yeah.
I think those may actually be interesting to play with on stage too. The fact that on stage, here right now, the fact that you just exchange hats and your different characters and everyone just accepts that's the way it is. It's ridiculous when you think about it, but
it's like Superman, right? And Clark Kent. Come on.
It's kind of a Brady Bunch thing, right? I mean, I always wondered, like, were they really like looking down at each other?
That is so funny.
Actually, this brings up the next question, which I was going to. So, since we are on Wendy and Michelle exchanging costumes, since we played a master and servant pair who exchange roles, and Linda and Stephanie also play Petruchio and Grumio. Deliberate double casting there as Grumio and Katerina. So you want to expand a little bit on like how, especially Stephanie, for you playing both the love interest and the servant, and for Michelle and Wendy playing, changing roles. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. It was interesting, I think, for me, because of I think Grumio's relationship with Petruchio. It's more like he's intentionally trying to like poke at him and make him irritated. It's kind of almost like a sibling. I love you, but I'm going to irritate you as much as I can. It's kind of that relationship. Mm-hmm. Whereas his relationship with Katerina, it's more like fire and gasoline. Like, she's not there to poke him. They're there and they're just like fire together. So it was interesting having those two kind of dynamics, relationships with Petruchio.
I think there's a lot of love actually between, or maybe, some love. I mean, and Tranio says love between the two characters. I mean, they're not friends because they're on totally different, social levels, and one has power and one doesn't. But yet there's a kind. It seems like a good-natured affection, that they won't.
Lucentio is definitely fond of Tranio.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, trust him enough to pretty much give the keys to his kingdom.
Here, you be me for a while. I mean, how many rich guys would do that? I think Lucentio, my sense of him is that he's a little bit more of a naive guy. That, I mean, he sees this girl and instantly in love. you know,
Mhm.
but you know, and oh well, you know, we'll just change places, and you can be me, and then I'll, you know, it just, he's kind of not, he's intellectual, you know, he's there for learning and everything, and yet it's all book smarts. He has
Right.
no common sense.
Well, and I was very mindful of the fact that, you know, it sounds like a stereotype, but male relationships are all about hierarchy, you know, and who's at the top of the pile, whereas women, it's like who's in, who's out. And so this idea of really upending the hierarchy between these two people is huge. You know, that's a major trust issue there, I guess.
And Michelle, you seem to take a special joy once you become influential.
Yeah. Got the
Well,
hat, got, you know, keys to the kingdom, right?
Yeah, I think it's a lot different for Tranio to suddenly be elevated, whereas Lucentio is just like, yeah, I'm just going to be this other guy now, you know. He's not, he's not necessarily stepping into a servant role, although I guess kind of as a scholar, the teacher, but he's not as subservient, I guess. So he's just kind of still being him, whereas Tranio is, you know, total switcheroo.
You
And
know
this
what
may be the only-
I thought when, sorry.
Go ahead, Lenore.
Well, I was going to say in this conversation, I found myself wondering, does Lucentio have any idea how much Tranio could get him truly in trouble and not give him back his identity? I mean, he never even thinks of that because he is the master. Oh, of course, it's all, but Tranio could do make a lot of decisions that might not be beneficial for, and that's of course not in the play. That's just me.
He's
we've got
certainly
three more
Maybe in the play, it's coming.
I know.
he's certainly over-promising.
Yeah,
Tranio is certainly over-promising what Lucentio can actually deliver, which comes out later in the play too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's if Lucentio were wooing as himself rather than Tranio doing it, I think he would have approached it a little bit differently. But I think Tranio's just having fun with it. He's like, oh yeah, I can do that. I'm rich. I can do anything.
One of the things about Zoom that's really fun though is that we can welcome back actors who have left town and can be with us again, like Eva. We're so happy. Eva's in Colorado, folks. But here she is, and this is one of the better things of that's happened with Zoom or any of these. So we're really thrilled, Eva.
Thanks. Yes. It was fun looking at the participant list too. A good solid fly-by-night crew. Yeah, this is awesome. I'm so excited. And just, I've only done one show since I've lived out here for 2 years. And so it's so exciting to get to see you all on the regular, but then also to get to be in a play for Fly-By-Night.
Wow,
and you get slapped across 2 states somehow.
Except were you wondering about the other day with the storm? When we all went down out here and nobody.
Yeah.
I did let her know that it was canceled. We had to cancel rehearsal on Monday. This is for the audience. On Monday, we had to cancel rehearsal because of the storms. And thankfully, MediaCom is back on, and we were all able to do a dress yesterday. And we were, Art had a comment, and maybe this is something we can think about for next time. So the audience does not know who else is on the audience, in the audience. So for them, they know who the panelists are, and you guys can see who the audience is, but they don't know. So Art, thanks for that comment. We'll think of something for next time. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to read a couple of really lovely comments. Gail Chavanel tells you that you all made this format sings. Congratulations. And Doug Mackey said, you all look great on screen. Art really loved all the enthusiasm of the cast and especially loved watching the eye-rolling responses from Terry.
My poor Terry.
And
I do.
Sean tells bravo everyone. Just thought,
Sean.
Doug Donald said, good to have Fly By Night back, glad to see everyone. So it really was special. I mean, it's been a long time since we've done theater, and I do miss I miss not being able to do 10 chimneys. But I'm so glad you all agreed to do this, and I will be in touch with you about the next one.
I couldn't agree fast enough. I was like, Shakespeare, hell yes, where do I sign? This is on my bucket list, you guys.
Those in the audience, if you're interested, and yes, it is an all-female cast, so sorry guys. If you're interested, please let me know. We would love to have more people on the next one. Now that we are trying to figure out this whole Zoom thing, hopefully the next one will go a little smoother. Does anybody have some final thoughts to add before we sign off today?
I'm sorry, I just read
Art.
I just read Art's chat. So wishing, so wishing.
Table in the
I
bathroom.
love Art. I love him.
Art, you're gonna have to send pizza from Shot Tower to all of us now. You're buying. You just volunteered.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure delivery to Platteville in Colorado is gonna cost a pretty penny.
Yeah. I'm gonna have a Bloody Mary with my order too. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's Thursday after all.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that, Michelle. I was like, darn, girl, I'm going to have my wine ready next time.
Had it preset.
I know that. That's awesome.
Well, and I just want to shout out to Sunil and Kay, because when we were trying to plan this, they kind of took over as project managers, and it was really nice to have those. Sunil, because he knows Shakespeare, and Kay, because she certainly knows theater and tech, the tech stuff, which I'm so grateful for. And I'm just speaking as artistic director right now, but thank you so much.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Before we leave, I want to give a special thank you to Kay, without who's steady behind the scenes. I don't think this would have been possible. This really allowed me to focus on you guys and the text and worry about that part. So Kay was taking care of all the tech stuff. So big shout out to Kay. And thank you, Kay.
Yay. Thank you both.
Yeah.
This will be recorded and we'll put that on. And I think thanks everyone in the audience for sticking with us, and hope to see you all in September.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
guys.
It was so good seeing everyone.